Chapter 6985. Master, could it be that beauty is so destructive? Xiaohei was also astonished. She was looking forward to her appearance when she grew up. At this moment she finally understood why Xiao Xuanzi found it so hard to accept her appearance when she transformed into her human form. It turned out that appearance had such a huge effect. You think too much. Bailey Hongzhuang was speechless. Although she was sure that she had never seen the imperial windhorse elephant before, she was also sure that the change in their attitude had nothing to do with her appearance. There must be some other reason. It was just that they had not thought of it yet. Could it be because of Beichen? A thought appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's mind. If Beichen was really in the sacred world and had built a good relationship with these demonic beasts, then the change in their attitude towards her could be because of Beichen. But, was it really like that? She was not sure. You are from the human race, right? The imperial windhorse elephant looked at Bailey Hongzhuang again and asked, Hey, why are you suddenly asking this? The long-armed devil ape looked at the imperial windhorse elephant in confusion. He did not know why this fellow would ask such a ridiculous question. I feel that the difference between the human race and the ape race is not that big. These fellows are all wearing clothes. How can we be sure if they are the people we are looking for? If they are not, then wouldn't we be a joke? The imperial windhorse elephant said quietly. There was a trace of uncertainty in its eyes. Hearing this, the long-armed devil ape was also stunned. Before they came out, they only heard from their boss that they found a human that was similar to the ape race and that they were wearing clothes. The demonic beasts usually did not wear clothes, so it was too easy for them to differentiate. Who would have thought that these fellows were all wearing clothes? It was completely different from the scene they saw 300 years ago. You are right. It is better to be sure. The long-armed devil ape nodded. If we make a mistake and make our boss unhappy, then it would be bad. But I think this fellow in front of us is very good looking. She looks more like our boss's wife. Your eyesight is not very good. The imperial windhorse elephant said with disdain. Long-armed demon ape. Alright, what you said makes sense. However, when the surrounding demonic beasts heard the imperial windhorse elephant's question, their expressions became extremely strange. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two were also stunned. Faced with this question, they did not know how to answer for a moment. What should we do? Yang Lingfeng hesitated. Should we admit it or not? Could it be that Beichen is in the saints' world so they know we're humans? If we don't admit it and they think we aren't, they might not let us in. But if we admit it and things aren't like that, wouldn't we be doomed? Yang Qinxue was completely at a loss now. How should she answer this question? If he answered incorrectly, he would be done for. Most importantly, they had already told all the demonic beasts that they were not humans but apes. Once they admitted that they were humans in front of these fellows, wouldn't they kill them? Bailey Hongzhuang quickly calmed down. She looked at him and had a lot of thoughts in her mind. Chapter 6986. When the imperial windhorse elephant saw Bailey Hongzhuang, they remained silent. The eagerness in their eyes gradually dimmed. Perhaps they had misunderstood the rules. Although she was good-looking, she might not be the person they were looking for. Master, what do we do now? Xiaohei also realized that the situation was not right. If this continued, they would be finished. Bailey Hongzhuang kept looking at the imperial windhorse elephant's expression. She thought about the situation in her head, and when she finally noticed the disappointment on the imperial windhorse elephant's face, she had an idea. That's right, we are humans. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded in acknowledgement. Yang Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. They did not know how she decided to say this. They also did not know what kind of expression the imperial windhorse elephant would have after hearing this. Ping ping ping. The atmosphere became tense in an instant. They could even hear their own heartbeats. However, when the saber-toothed tiger and the other monsters heard that they were humans, they were completely dumbfounded. What's going on? Aren't they from the ape race? Could it be that everything they said before was a lie? We fell for it? Could they be lying to the monsters of the holy world to get on their good side? Another demonic beast raised its doubts. After all, no one knew what the monsters of the holy world were thinking when they suddenly asked such a question. Perhaps their attitude towards Bailey Hongzhuang had changed because they thought that she was from the human race. Therefore, they took advantage of the situation. Fox, do you know the exact situation? The monsters to the south of the river could not help but ask. They were also very confused about this point. The fox, lion, and rock did not say anything. They looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a hint of thought. They did not have any doubts. Instead, they were even more worried. They felt that this white guy was very likely using an unconventional method. In any case, It was quite difficult to stand out in front of the demon beasts of the Holy Realm according to normal methods. However, using this method might really be able to make them treat him differently. The Imperial Windhorse Elephant and the Gibbon almost thought that they had made a mistake. However, when they heard Bailey Hongzhuang's confirmation, they were stunned. Are you really humans? Noticing the changes in the two demonic beasts' expressions, Bailey Hongzhuang's tone became more certain. That's right, we are humans. For a moment, all the demonic beasts' gazes were focused on the Imperial Windhorse Elephant. They didn't know if this answer satisfied it or not. The Imperial Windhorse Elephant paused for a moment and then revealed a joyful smile. That's good. Since you're from the human race, you can enter through this door. Immediately after, the group of demonic beasts realized that the door the Imperial Windhorse Elephant was pointing at was the golden door in the middle. It can't be, right? Just because they're humans, they're allowed to go through this door? So this is the reason why no demonic beast has been able to pass through this door for so many years. The problem is that these guys are not from the human race. They're from the ape race. They're lying to the monsters of the holy world. Chapter 6987. What she said isn't true. She's clearly from the ape clan. This is something that we all know. When the saber-toothed tiger saw that Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest were getting closer and closer to the golden door, it instantly grew anxious. That was the place that it had dreamt of entering for so many years. How could these weak fellows be one step ahead of it? After destroying everything it had, they actually wanted to receive such high treatment. That was absolutely impossible. Hearing this, the Imperial Windhorse Elephant paused in its steps and turned its head. Why should I believe you? I have a demonic beast as my witness. The saber-toothed tiger solemnly swore and turned to look at the demonic beasts north of the river. Am I speaking the truth? Although the saber-toothed tiger had been stripped of its status as the leader, when it said this, many demonic beasts still nodded in agreement. That's right, they're from the ape clan. They're not humans at all. I knew that this fellow wouldn't let us off so easily. Yang Lingfeng's face darkened and immediately threw a tantrum. You've had a grudge with us for a long time. You're purposely taking advantage of this time to slander us. We're humans to begin with. Haven't you noticed that we're different from the ape clan? Look carefully. Regarding the introduction of the human race, which part of us doesn't match? Are you really that smart? Do you have clothes? These clothes were all made by us. Hearing Yang Lingfeng's rebuttal, the saber-toothed tiger almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. It did not forget that a year ago these fellows had used these things to refute it one by one. It never thought that they would turn hostile today and refute everything. What else could he say if they had already said all that he wanted to say? That wasn't what you said a year ago. I'm talking about the present. Don't mention those old and rotten things to me. At the same time, Yang Lingfeng madly shot a look at the fox and the rest. Seeing this, the three demonic beasts immediately understood and immediately echoed. That's right, they're humans. Smart demonic beasts can tell at a glance. Aren't you just jealous that they can walk through the golden door and purposely said this? The saber-toothed tiger was rendered speechless. It was so aggrieved that it was about to go crazy. Senior, please don't believe their words. It's just relying on its age to bully them, the fox said in all seriousness. It's just taking advantage of the fact that it's no match for a few juniors. Xiao He secretly clapped her hands. This fox's ability to lie through his teeth was truly something that he had inherited. Everyone tell me, am I right? The fox looked at the surrounding demonic beasts and asked. The demonic beasts to the south of the river were all in a daze. When they heard the fox taking the lead, they could only agree numbly. After all, the white guy had been treating them well for the past year, and they were on the same side. If they encouraged the arrogance of those guys north of the river bank at this time, wouldn't they be in trouble in the future? Seeing this, the long-armed demon ape directly said, I know. It's you who has been obstructing me time and time again. What are your intentions? Since you're so dissatisfied, then you should go in and challenge the trial. After you come out, we'll see who's right and who's wrong. Chapter 6988. Seeing the saber-toothed tiger being kicked in by the long-armed devil ape, all the demonic beasts were dumbfounded. The saber-toothed tiger was one of the stronger ones among them, but in front of the demonic beasts of the Holy Realm, it was nothing. You can go through this door now. The Imperial Windhorse Elephant smiled at Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the fox who was giving her a look, then looked at the Imperial Windhorse Elephant and nodded, okay. Until now, she still didn't know what the golden door was for. But in the current situation, there was no room for her to consider. If she raised her doubts, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. But from the demonic beast's reaction, the golden door shouldn't be dangerous. She would only know after she walked in. As Bailey Hongzhuang walked towards the golden door, Yang Lingfeng and Yang Qingxue followed closely behind. But before they could take a few steps, they were stopped by the long-armed devil ape and the imperial windhorse elephant. "What are you two doing?" Yang Lingfeng was stunned. We're going in together." "We said she's going in. Who said you can go in too?" The long-armed devil ape looked at the two suspiciously. "Didn't you say that humans can go in?" Yang Lingfeng pointed at Bailey Hongzhuang, then pointed at himself. "We're from the same race." Facing the long-armed devil ape and the imperial windhorse elephant's suspicious gaze, Yang Lingfeng couldn't help but feel weak. "Although I'm a little ugly," Yang Qingxue, who was originally very nervous, almost laughed out loud when she heard this. It was rare for this fella to be so honest. "That won't do." The long-armed devil ape rejected without hesitation. It only came out to receive its boss's wife because of its boss's orders. What would happen if it brought other fellows in as well? Furthermore, its boss didn't even mention that there were other humans in the first place. After seeing this scene, the fox and the others were even more certain that their judgment wasn't wrong. These two fellows must have taken a fancy to the white guy's beauty and didn't mistake them for humans. Otherwise they wouldn't have let the white guy in alone. "White fellow, are you going in like this? Isn't this like a lamb entering a tiger's den?" Lion couldn't help but worry. "No, I think we shouldn't let that white guy go in. It's too dangerous." Seeing that the lion was about to run out, the fox quickly stopped it. "You're crazy. Even if we show up now, we won't be able to stop them." In the outside world their strength was not bad, but in here their strength was not enough. The imperial windhorse elephant was slightly stronger than them. If they worked together they might have a chance. However, there was not only one demonic beast from the sacred world here. Moreover, once they did that, it would be equivalent to becoming complete enemies with the saints' world. Only then did Lion calm down. However, he could not help but feel depressed. All he could do was pray silently. Bailey Hongzhuang also felt a little strange and couldn't help but ask, "Can't they go in with me?" Hearing this, the imperial windhorse elephant and the long-armed demon ape looked at each other with a confused expression. Silence. The two of them fell into silence. Chapter 69-89. This fellow is really pushing her luck. Where does she think she is? It's already good enough that she can enter. She actually wants to bring the other demonic beasts in with her. She must be dreaming. Let's wait for a good show. The demonic beasts of the holy world will definitely teach her a lesson. The imperial windhorse elephant hesitated for a moment before asking, "You want them to go in together?" Guangdang. Some of the demonic beasts immediately fell to the ground. "Are you kidding me?" The imperial windhorse elephant was so violent to them, but it was so gentle to this fellow. What was going on? This wasn't playing by the rules at all. Bailey Hongzhuang was also stunned. Even she felt flattered by the imperial windhorse elephant's actions. From the moment this fellow appeared until now, everything was too strange. As she thought about it, Bailey Hongzhuang probed, "And I want to bring them in together. What should we do now?" Boss didn't say anything about this. The imperial windhorse elephant looked at the long-armed devil ape and transmitted his voice. The long-armed devil ape was also very conflicted. "I feel that although boss didn't say anything about this, we should still listen to sister-in-law. This is our first time meeting sister-in-law. How can we not agree to such a small request? What if boss isn't happy? What should we do?" The imperial windhorse elephant nodded seriously. "That's right. You're right. Then let's do it this way? Let's do it this way." After making the decision, the imperial windhorse elephant replied, "All right, then all of you can go in together. Can't you guys have a bottom line?" At this moment, the image of the imperial windhorse elephant in the hearts of the demonic beasts collapsed. The imperial windhorse elephant that had always stood by its word without the slightest bit of leeway was now completely obedient to Bailey Hongzhuang. "It's over, it's all over. It's already like this." The rock stomped its feet. Everything else aside, this imperial windhorse elephant looked really cool. It was a formidable opponent. "All right, you guys can go in." The imperial windhorse elephant waved its hand at the two of them. Yang Lingfeng. Yang Qingxue. The golden door opened and Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two walked in. "Now I finally know the difference between people. Could it be that looks really have such a big impact?" Yang Lingfeng turned to look at Yang Qingxue and frowned. "You just found out? I have known the importance of this for a long time. Ask yourself, when you first met Hongzhuang, did you not have any thoughts about her? Yang Lingfeng chuckled and scratched his head. At first I did have such thoughts, but after meeting Beichen I gave up on the idea. Xiaohei, why? Yang Lingfeng, I can't compare to her in terms of looks. Bailey Hongzhuang, your words are really getting more and more off track. In the end, what are you talking about? I think you should think about your current situation. Bailey Hongzhuang helplessly glanced at the two people who were still struggling with this question. Now was not the time to think about these questions, okay? Only then did Yang Qinxue come back to her senses and she said, I wonder if this golden door represents the strongest test. Chapter 6990. Yang Qinxue covered her face with her hands. This guy had completely given up on saving face. Bailey Hongzhuang knew that Yang Lingfeng was just joking, so she ignored him. After walking through the Golden Gate, they entered a slightly longer passageway. She had already recovered from her shock and calmed herself down. She carefully observed her surroundings, guarding against any problems that might arise. Yang Lingfeng and Li Wuyo also stopped joking around. No one knew what would happen after they entered the Holy Realm. Even if their lives weren't in danger, if these guys really took a fancy to Hongzhuang, it would be very troublesome. After passing through the slightly longer passageway, the scene before them opened up. Bright sunlight shone down, and they saw a small path filled with birds and fragrant flowers. There was also a pavilion at the center of a lake. They were surrounded by pleasant greenery and colorful flowers dotted the landscape. There were many birds here and they chattered together. Even when they saw them, they didn't show the slightest hint of fear. It's so beautiful here. Yang Qinxue exclaimed as she looked around. The scenery outside was also very beautiful, but it was as if all the best scenery in the Holy Realm had been gathered here. It was full of vitality and magnificent beauty. Most of the immortal realms and their fantasies were filled with celestial energy, but the scenery before them was full of vitality, like the world of fairies. It exuded a different kind of beauty. I feel like when we go back and see the scenery in the realm of chaotic immortals again, I'm afraid it'll be boring. Yang Lingfeng sighed. After seeing such beautiful scenery, how could he feel anything when he saw ordinary scenery again? We should be in the Holy Realm right now. I wonder if this test. Bailey Hongzhuang was deep in thought. This beautiful scenery was exactly the same as when Fox had introduced it to them. However, they had directly arrived here after passing through the Golden Gate. Could it be that there was no test behind the gate at all? Could it be that they could enter directly? Just as she was thinking, a group of rabbits ran over and circled around Bailey Hongzhuang's feet. She was on guard against some kind of test, but when the rabbits came closer she realized that they were just a group of cute rabbits. She couldn't help but squat down. These rabbits were very good looking. Their white fur was spotless and their round and plump appearance looked very cute. At this moment they were circling Bailey Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang, just because you're pretty, these rabbits treat you differently. Yang Lingfeng squatted down and wanted to reach out to touch the rabbit, but he found that the fellow was glaring at him in disdain. He didn't even manage to touch the rabbit's fur. The difference between people, can't you give me some comfort? Forget it. Yang Qinxue pulled Yang Lingfeng to his feet. The saint's world clearly treats Hongzhuang differently. Then what? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. A rabbit had already jumped directly into her arms. At this moment, it was intimately rubbing against her. It looked like it liked her very much. Yang Qinxue pondered, could it be that you have some sort of fate with the saint's world? What kind of fate could there be in a mystic realm that I've never been to before? I think it must be because Hongzhuang is pretty. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Yang Lingfeng. This guy was completely immersed in the shock of her beauty. Even now, he still hadn't recovered from the shock. Chapter 6991. Just as she was deep in thought, the rabbit in her hand suddenly chirped a bunch of gibberish. Then it jumped down and ran forward, turning back to signal her as it ran. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang understood that the little fellow wanted her to follow it. Let's follow it and take a look. She quickly ran forward, crossing the lawn in front of her and running straight ahead. Seeing this, Yang Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng quickly followed. Although the little rabbit looked harmless, who knew if it would bring Hongzhuang to some dangerous place? However, just as the two of them were running forward, the remaining row of rabbits blocked their way. Get out of my way, Yang Lingfeng said angrily. The monsters in the holy world were too strong. It was fine if they couldn't defeat them, but now even a group of rabbits was bullying them? However, the group of rabbits only looked at Yang Lingfeng, then stood firmly in front of the two of them. Sister, should we just rush over? Yang Lingfeng looked at Yang Qinxue. Although there's no danger to our lives here, we can't be careless. Yang Qingxue nodded and said with a serious expression, let's go, we'll chase after them. In the next moment, the two of them flew past the rabbits and chased after Hong Zhuang. Ever since Hong Zhuang came to the holy world, everything here had shown that she was different from others. If this was some kind of inexplicable fate, then it was not bad, but if there was some kind of conspiracy, then it would be terrible. After all, in a place full of monsters they were of a different race. However, when the two of them chased after her, they realized that Hong Zhuang had already disappeared. In this vast green world, they could not detect Hong Zhuang's existence for a moment. How strange, the aura here seems to be isolated. We can't use aura to find her at all. Yang Lingfeng looked around. At their level of cultivation they could no longer find people with their eyes, but with aura. They could find the person they were looking for within 100 miles. However, in this place aura could not be locked on. That's troublesome. We're not familiar with this place at all, and we don't know which direction Hong Zhuang is in. Yang Qingxue's expression darkened. Hong Zhuang was their benefactor. Before coming here she had promised to protect Hong Zhuang. If there was danger in the saints' world, what would they do? Yang Lingfeng's expression revealed a trace of confusion. Vaguely he felt as if he had forgotten something, but he couldn't figure out what it was. Bailey Hong Zhuang followed the little rabbit all the way forward. Only then did she realize that the pavilion in the middle of the lake that seemed close at hand was actually very far away. Along the way hundreds of flowers bloomed. What was unbelievable was that both sides of the road were actually filled with cute little rabbits, all of them smiling at her in a friendly manner. These rabbits were all low-level creatures, but in this place, it was as if their intelligence had been developed. Their every move was filled with the brilliance of humanity. Further ahead was a large field of roses. A faint fragrance wafted through the air, and the dazzling red color was extremely dazzling. Such a scene was truly unforgettable. Squeak squeak. Chapter 6992. Fox. Bailey Hong Zhuang raised her eyebrows. The foxes in front of her looked smaller than the foxes she was familiar with. She saw the foxes suddenly salute her, holding a rose in their hands. They actually started to dance. Not far away the birds sang loudly, contrasting with the dance of the foxes, swaying their bodies. Bailey Hong Zhuang quietly watched the dance in front of her. Foxes were indeed an extremely beautiful race. Even in their beast form, this dance exuded a kind of seductive beauty. The little rabbit at her feet was also immersed in this dance and couldn't help but sway in place, but it forgot its short legs. Instead of swaying, its whole body rolled on the ground. Bailey Hong Zhuang couldn't help but chuckle. This little guy looked really interesting. After the dance, the foxes came forward and handed the roses in their hands to her one by one. Looking at the rose in her hand, the thorns on it had been trimmed, so it didn't prick her hand. Only then did the rabbit squeak and let her continue to move forward. Another 7-colored bridge appeared. This bridge was different from the one she saw when she was breaking through. It looked more like a rainbow. The 7 colors of light were clearly blooming, bright and colorful. Below, the 2 white clouds drifted away, making people feel like they were in a dream. Faintly, there seemed to be a figure above the bridge. It was just that the smoke was hazy, so she couldn't see clearly. Squeak squeak. The rabbit waved its 2 little claws, pointing forward. Bailey Hong Zhuang slowly moved forward. She understood that the rabbit meant for her to go forward, but this was simply a rainbow in front of her. Could it really be possible to stand on it? It wasn't until she took her first step and didn't miss that she felt relieved. It's really incredible. Bailey Hong Zhuang looked at the rainbow under her feet. Since she started to cultivate, she had seen a lot of incredible things. With the improvement of her strength, many things that were previously unimaginable became reality. However, she never thought that she would one day stand on a rainbow. Step by step, she continued to move forward. Bailey Hong Zhuang's gaze fell on the faint figure in front of her. The little rabbit had already stopped. Even if she couldn't see the face and could only see the figure, Bailey Hong Zhuang's smile gradually widened. It's him. Even if she could only see a corner of his figure, she could be sure that it was him. As the distance got closer and closer, that handsome figure gradually became more and more clear. The slender figure, the cold face, standing on the rainbow's dreamy rainbow, it was simply a beautiful scenery that didn't belong to the human world. Wife. An elegant and charming curve bloomed on his lips, dispelling the coldness between his eyebrows, like the melting snow, and rippling with the warmth of the sun. Lord. He's as he. A familiar warmth enveloped her, and a reassuring scent filled her nostrils. It was as if she had let down all her defenses, and all her previous worries had disappeared at this moment. been a year. Ever since she entered this mystic realm, she hasn't seen Beichen. The holy realm was hers greatest hope, and fortunately she's finally seen it. She wasn't disappointed. Chapter 69-93. The man passionately plundered all the sweetness from her. Amidst the raging violence, there was a trace of protective gentleness. It was as if he wanted to express all his longing through this kiss. Bailey Hongzhuang was only slightly stunned for a moment. Then she wrapped her arms around the man's neck and responded to this kiss. She also missed him. She missed him very much. The man felt her response. His hands became even hotter. The warm and domineering embrace seemed to want to ruthlessly knead her into his bones. A day without seeing her felt like 3 years. He didn't know how many years he had waited here. Fortunately, he finally saw her. After a long while, when the woman's chest had almost dissipated, the man released her and hugged her slightly limp body. He slowly brought her to sit down on the bridge. Only then did Bailey Hongzhuang notice the beautiful scenery in front of her. Below them was a clear lake. It reflected the light of the rainbow. The entire lake seemed to be dyed with this bright color. It was as if it was a rainbow lake. Lotus flowers floated on top of it, adorning the bright and beautiful lake. She could even sway her feet. As the breeze blew, her clothes and the man's clothes were intimately intertwined. It was like a painting. When Yang Qinxue and Yang Linfeng finally saw the figure of Bailey Hongzhuang, they saw such a beautiful scene and were suddenly a little dumbfounded. Beichen's methods are really admirable. At this moment, Yang Linfeng could be said to be full of admiration for Di Beichen. No wonder this guy could make Hongzhuang so stubbornly loyal to him. Whether it was humans or beasts, Hongzhuang couldn't gain the slightest bit of favor. The real key was here. Thinking about it carefully, if it was someone with such a handsome, powerful and romantic husband, they definitely wouldn't fall in love with someone else. A trace of envy appeared in Yang Qinshua's eyes. She had never seen such an immortal couple before. Whether it was the deep affection between the two of them, Hongzhuang's yearning for Beichen over the past year, or Beichen's meticulous preparations, there was an indescribable beauty in all of this. Come to think of it, this should be the kind of love that everyone hoped to have. Yang Lingfeng also noticed the envious look on his sister's face and couldn't help but say, "It's a pity that Brother Qingli didn't come with us this time. Otherwise he would have learned a lot." "What are you talking about?" Yang Qinxue glared at him. "The truth." Yang Lingfeng spread out his hands. "With your gentle temperaments, who knows when you'll be able to achieve results if you rely on your own development. If you can learn from Beichen, won't your speed be faster? However, the scene in front of me was simply too beautiful. Not to mention Hongzhuang, even I was touched by it. It's a pity that it won't be easy to figure everything out once we're outside." He had never seen such a beautiful scene before. Perhaps only this place could have such a unique scenery. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang had also recovered from her initial excitement. Looking at the familiar face beside her, her heart was also incomparably at ease. "Beichen, have you been in the Holy Realm ever since you came in?" Di Beichen nodded. "That's right. Did you prepare everything just now? Do you like it, my wife?" Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. "I like it." Chapter 69-94. Now I understand everything. Bailey Hongzhuang thought about everything that had happened before and understood everything. The Imperial Wind Horse Elephant's behavior was too strange. Although she had some guesses at that time, she couldn't be sure. Until now, she understood that everything was Beichen's idea. "Then how did you know that I would come today?" "He had prepared everything for her. My wife and I have always been telepathic. Didn't you also guess that I would be here?" Di Beichen asked back. Bailey Hongzhuang raised the corner of her eyes. Beichen was right. Perhaps this was the tacit understanding between them. "When I came here I wanted to look for you. However, these fellows in the Holy World said that the door to the Holy World would only open once every 300 years. Other than that, the door to the Holy World wouldn't open normally. I thought of many ways, but these fellows wouldn't agree. Helpless, I could only wait for it to open. Fortunately, the time for the door to open is already very close." Di Beichen sighed in his heart. When he found out about everything, although he couldn't help but feel gloomy, he also felt a little lucky. At least it was the right time for the door to open. Otherwise, if there were still 100 or 200 years, that would be terrible. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded in agreement. When she found out about everything, she also felt lucky that the door only opened in a year. It only opened once every 300 years. Their luck was already very good. "How have you been this year outside?" Di Beichen asked with concern. "I've been living quite well outside. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and told him about how she got to know the fox and the others. Di Beichen listened patiently. He didn't find it annoying at all. It was as if he wanted to know what Hongzhuang did in the year that he wasn't around. He didn't want to miss out on anything. However, when he heard that Hongzhuang was actually doing needlework for a living, his brows unconsciously furrowed. When he saw her beaming with joy as she talked about all kinds of interesting things, as well as the silly and adorable looks of the foxes, his brows loosened a little. "What about you?" Bailey Hongzhuang asked after she finished talking about her experiences in the past year. "I'm very simple. I just happened to fall here. After that, I realized that this place is very big. It won't be easy to find you, so I took in a group of underlings." "A group of lackeys?" Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. "Could the so-called lackeys be the imperial windhorse elephant and the gibbon?" Di Beichen nodded. "Yes." Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but sigh when she saw the man's nonchalant expression. She knew that Beichen wouldn't be in the same situation as Ling Feng. At this moment, Little Black popped his head out, full of resentment. "Master, have you forgotten about me?" Bailey Hongzhuang, Di Beichen pointed to the other side of the bridge. "Xiaobai is under the bridge." "You've forgotten about me, haven't you?" Xiao Hei's face was full of resentment. It had been missing its master all this time. Who would have thought that its two masters would completely forget about it after it arrived? "There's food over at Xiaobai's place. I'm leaving." In the blink of an eye, Xiao Hei had already disappeared. Bailey Hongzhuang looked up and said in surprise, "You know Xiao Hei quite well." "It's not hard to know." Chapter 69-95. "I don't know." Bailey Hongzhuang silently mourned for Xiao Hei in her heart as she looked at the man's calm expression. She felt that Beichen had definitely said it casually to send Xiao Hei away. "Hey, are you guys done chatting? We've been waiting for quite a while." Yang Lingfeng and Yang Qingxue had been waiting under the bridge the entire time. When they saw that it was about time, they called out. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the two figures under the bridge, and her beautiful face was slightly flushed. "Beichen, let's go down." She was completely focused on Beichen, and for a moment she had completely forgotten about everyone else. If she hadn't heard Yang Lingfeng's voice, she didn't know when she would have remembered him. Di Beichen held her hand and led her to her feet before slowly walking down the bridge. When he saw the immortal couple walking over, Yang Lingfeng explained, "I didn't mean to ruin your time, but it's getting late. I think some of the demonic beasts over there have already passed the test." He wasn't spouting nonsense. It didn't seem like much time had passed, but in reality, they had already been waiting below for 2 hours. Bailey Hongzhuang looked ahead when she heard that. Sure enough, some demonic beasts had already appeared in the holy realm in the distance, and among them was the silhouette of a fox. Yang Qingxue sized up Di Beichen, and there was a hint of surprise in her eyes. She said hesitantly, "Beichen, I feel like your aura has improved quite a bit?" Yang Lingfeng finally returned to his senses. After carefully sensing his aura, his eyes widened. "That's right, this aura. You've broken through to the elementary celestial stage?" Di Beichen nodded calmly. Yang Lingfeng couldn't help but open his mouth wide when he saw the man's casual expression. He wailed, "The heavens are really unfair. I've been cultivating for so long, but I still can't break through to the Radiant Sun stage." "How long has it been since you broke through to the Radiant Sun stage?" "You've broken through to the elementary celestial stage in the blink of an eye?" Yang Qingxue was also envious. This was definitely the fastest person she had ever seen breaking through to the elementary celestial stage. 4 ordinary cultivators, breaking through to the elementary immortal stage was an insurmountable gap. He didn't know how much effort it would take to successfully break through, but to Beichen this difficult realm was just like an ordinary level. He could break through it by casually cultivating. How could it be as difficult as everyone said? "It's all right," Di Beichen said calmly. When he first came out of the perception steel, he had already touched the barrier to breaking through. After coming to the saint's world, he ate the fruits that these fellows gave him all day long. His strength increased extremely quickly, and before he knew it, he had broken through. However, Beichen's matter-of-fact manner provoked him even more. In the past, he relied on his age and strength to call himself Big Brother. Now he had to call Beichen Big Brother. "Oh right, Beichen, the Imperial Windhorse Elephant said that only Hongzhuang could enter. Did you forget about me and my sister?" Yang Lingfeng stared at Di Beichen for a long time before suddenly asking a question. Bailey Hongzhuang was stunned. She instinctively looked at Beichen. Actually, it wasn't impossible. According to her understanding of Beichen, he must have forgotten about this matter. However, he couldn't admit it at a time like this. Otherwise, with Yang Lingfeng's character, who knew how long he would nag about it? No. Di Beichen's expression was calm. Chapter 69-96. It's good for you to gain more experience. Yang Lingfeng. What a show of affection. So what he meant was that they should gain more experience, but Hong Zhuang was his wife, so she didn't need to gain more experience? Bailey Hongzhuang naturally understood the deeper meaning behind his words, but at the same time, the corner of her lips couldn't help but curl up. Alright, I won't ask any more. If I continue asking, I can't wait to find a wife. I'm afraid you can only find demonic beasts here. Yang Qingxue raised her eyebrows. When we get back, I'll tell father about this. Father has already found a few good ladies for you. Yang Lingfeng's expression changed. Sister, please spare me. Beichen, let's go ahead and take a look. Fox and the others have already succeeded. Bailey Hongzhuang pointed ahead with a smile. Now that she saw Beichen, her previous worries had disappeared. Facing the holy world again, her mentality was completely different. Di Beichen had a doting expression. At this moment, another demonic beast ran over and whispered a few words to Di Beichen. Di Beichen looked up at Bailey Hongzhuang. You go first, I'll catch up in a while. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and didn't ask any more questions. In this year, Beichen had become very familiar with the demonic beasts of the holy world. Presumably, he had his own matters to deal with. The three of them walked forward together. Now, the three of them could be said to have no worries at all. Beichen had taken in a group of underlings in the holy world, which meant that they could do whatever they wanted here. Sigh. Yang Lingfeng suddenly sighed. What's wrong? Yang Qingxue was a little puzzled. Now that all their dangers had been resolved, this guy was actually sighing here. I'm lamenting the difference between us. Yang Lingfeng looked at Yang Qingxue. It's fine if Hong Zhuang is doing well in the south of the river bank, but the two of us are forced to do manual labor. Beichen actually has a bunch of underlings in the holy world. What's going on with us? Originally, he thought that their biggest problem was that they shouldn't have admitted that they were humans. However, Beichen had admitted that he was a human. Moreover, he was doing very well here. Thinking about the two of them, it was simply heartbreaking. Yang Qingxue smiled awkwardly. I was probably led astray by your IQ. Sister, you're going too far. Yang Lingfeng pursed his lips. I think we should follow Beichen's footsteps closely in the future. After passing the test, Fox and the others immediately began to search for Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. The long-armed demon ape and the others were too ambiguous. They had never heard of the demonic beasts in the holy world being so courteous. The way they protected the white guy was simply too obvious. Other than trying to curry favor, they really couldn't think of any other reason. I didn't see the white guy either. What should we do? Fox was anxious. Even now, they still didn't know what the golden door was for. Don't be too anxious. The white guy didn't go in by himself. The green guy and the others came in with him. Lion looked at Fox's anxious expression and couldn't help but say, I saw that the Imperial Wind Horse Elephant and long-armed demon ape were very attentive to the white guy. Wouldn't those two fellas fight for it for a while? It definitely won't be so fast. Chapter 69-97. The saber-toothed tiger had been silent ever since it came out. Thinking about how it was kicked in by the long-armed demon ape, it felt ashamed. For the past 300 years, it had lived a decent life. This time, because of those annoying fellows, it had lost all its face. During the process of breaking through, it had been regretting. If it had known that it would be like this, it would have taken care of those fellows earlier. Then there wouldn't have been so many problems later. Until after it came in, it realized that it hadn't seen those three fellows. Suddenly its mood became better. Do you guys think that the golden door means the most difficult test? If those three can't come out, wouldn't that be interesting? The group of demonic beasts guessed. After all, these two doors meant different tests. The door in the middle was so special, the test must be extraordinary. With their strength, if they enter the highest level test, won't they lose their lives? The fierce cloud monkey sneered. The demonic beast's attitude towards Bailey Hongzhuang made them feel a huge threat. If those three fellows were to perform well, then wouldn't those fellows south of the river completely surpass them this time? It's best if they die. The saber-toothed tiger squinted its eyes and kept muttering in its heart. Those fellows should have died long ago. At this moment, the fox couldn't hold back anymore. It gathered its courage and directly asked the long-armed ape, where did that white fellow and the others go? Did you think that they were from the human race so you wanted to take their lives? I say, why are you so troublesome? The long-armed ape looked at the fox in disdain. From the beginning until now, this fellow had been very anxious. The imperial wind-horse elephant gave the long-armed ape a look. They are sister-in-law's friends. You have to be more polite when you speak. If sister-in-law was unhappy because of this, then boss would be unhappy too. At that time the two of them would be the unlucky ones. You're right. The long-armed ape nodded. Its attitude was slightly better. Don't worry, she's fine. The fox didn't hear the conversation between the two. Originally, its heart was beating like a drum. It was indeed a little impulsive. After seeing the long-armed ape's attitude, it was a little stunned. Then can you tell me where they went? The fox asked tentatively. Don't worry, she's from the human race. That means she's our boss's wife. Do you think we'll treat her badly? The long-armed ape said straightforwardly, she's definitely with our boss now. As soon as it said that, the fox and the others were all dumbfounded. What? Holy World's boss's wife? How is that possible? Rock, Bai has never been in the Holy World. She's probably not even 300 years old. How can she be the boss's wife? Chapter 69-98. The Leader of the Holy World. Thinking of this, the fox's aura subconsciously weakened. It couldn't even win against these two fellas, let alone the leader of the Holy World. Fox, I think we shouldn't fight. We can't beat the leader of the Holy World. The lion looked at the fox. If the other party casually attacked them, they would be smashed into meat paste. Actually, the white guy's marriage is pretty good. As the saying goes, it's better to tear down a temple than a marriage. If we try to break up a couple, we'll be struck by lightning. The rock said seriously. Fox, lion? You're even more shameless than me. This news was no doubt a bolt from the blue for the saber-toothed tiger. He was still hoping that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others would be taught a lesson. Now she was the woman of the leader of the Holy World. What was there to fight? Once this became a reality, not to mention the position of leader, it was afraid that it wouldn't even have a place to stay. Seniors, there must be a problem somewhere. The saber-toothed tiger hurriedly stood out. He couldn't let this happen. Otherwise he would be completely finished. Not to mention that she's not even a human. Even if she is, she can't be the wife of the leader of the Holy World. The fierce cloud monkey also stood out. That's right. They must be imposters. They haven't even come to the Holy World before. How can they have such identities? When the long-armed demon ape and the imperial wind-horse elephant saw how certain the saber-toothed tiger and the others were, their resolute hearts began to waver. To be honest, they really couldn't recognize her. If you don't believe me, you can ask them. The white guy doesn't even know the leader of the Holy World. The saber-toothed tiger pointed at the fox and the others. Whether or not she was a human wasn't clear, but everyone knew this. The fox and the others' hearts thumped. Their faces were pale, but they forced themselves to remain calm. It's over, impersonating the wife of the Holy World's leader. This was a death sentence. If they knew that entering the golden door meant such an identity, they wouldn't have let the white guy in. But no matter how much they regretted it now, it was too late. They absolutely could not admit all of this now. Although, it would be exposed soon. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have let the white guy and the others come. The fox had a bad feeling in its heart. They had only come here to fight for a chance to get the Holy Spirit fruit. Who would have thought that they would end up causing so much trouble? Most importantly, this was a disaster that they could not handle. Is what the saber-toothed tiger said true? The long-armed demon ape asked. If he really admitted his mistake, then he and the imperial wind-horse elephant would be punished. Ugh. Fox subconsciously looked at Lion and Rock, only to find that these two guys had no idea either. They looked like they were resigned to their fate. He could only bite the bullet and say, "It's not true." What a stubborn duck. The saber-toothed tiger sneered. After noticing the change in the expressions of Fox and the others, its heart was set. No matter how much they tried to deny it, this was a fact that could not be changed. You guys don't have to fight. When our boss arrives, everything will be clear. The imperial wind-horse elephant said unhappily. Chapter 69-99. When Bailey Hongzhuang arrived, she found that the atmosphere was a little strange. The saber-toothed tiger was looking at her with a smug expression, as if it had caught hold of something that could be used against her. On the other hand, the fox and the others were worried. When they saw her appear, they were very happy. On the other hand, they couldn't wait for her to leave immediately. They kept giving her looks but couldn't understand what it was trying to do. Why have you all come back? The imperial wind horse elephant looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in astonishment. It knew that its boss had prepared everything. Logically speaking, if this person in front of them was really their boss sister-in-law, then she should be with their boss right now. Now that their boss hadn't appeared and it was them who had come back, could it be that there really was a mistake? Before Bailey Hongzhuang could finish her sentence, the saber-toothed tiger had already cut her off. You all really have guts. You actually dare to pretend to be the wife of the Holy World's boss. Why don't you take a look at yourself? Is this something that you can pretend to be? When Yang Lingfeng and Yang Qingxue heard this, their expressions became very interesting. This fellow was really looking for his own death. If you all kneel down now and admit your mistakes, perhaps you can still live. Otherwise, you will definitely die today. When the other demonic beasts saw this, they all fell silent. The demonic beasts to the north of the river were naturally very happy to see this scene. The demonic beasts to the south of the river also didn't dare to say a word. If they were to get involved in this matter, they would all suffer together. What nonsense are you talking about? Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. It had only been a short while. What had happened? Stop putting on an act. The saber-toothed tiger came in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and said to the long-armed devil ape, Senior, why don't I take care of this impostor for you first so that you won't dirty your hands? As his voice fell, the saber-toothed tiger's claw slammed down towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Stop. When the fox and the others saw this scene, they became anxious and quickly rushed forward. Who would have thought that this fellow would attack the moment he opened his mouth? With this white fellow's cultivation, he wasn't a match for it. However, before Fox and the others arrived, a hand had already grabbed the saber-toothed tiger's claw. A frightening coldness came from the side, and the warm world seemed to be covered in ice and snow in an instant. A terrifying murderous aura mixed with the coldness of 10,000-year-old ice instantly locked onto the saber-toothed tiger. The saber-toothed tiger stared blankly at the man in front of it who was as handsome as a god. The terrifying aura emitted from his body was like that of an Azura from hell, extremely terrifying. All the demonic beasts stared blankly at the man who was as dazzling as a divine lord. For a moment, they were unable to regain their senses. This guy looks very similar to the white guy and the others. Who are you? The saber-toothed tiger looked angrily at the fellow who had suddenly appeared in front of it. If it wasn't for this fellow, it would have taken the opportunity to kill Bailey Hongzhuang. Such a good plan was ruined just like that. Fake goods. Di Baichen raised his eyebrows slightly, and a dangerous light flashed in his eyes. She's an imposter. Who are you? The saber-toothed tiger glared angrily at Di Baichen. I think you're also this imposter's accomplice. Ha! A low chuckle was heard as if it had heard the funniest joke. Chapter 7000. Boss. The saber-toothed tiger looked at the man in front of it in astonishment. Boss? This guy in front of it was the boss of the holy world? You must be joking. For a moment, the saber-toothed tiger thought it was dreaming. The fox and the others' mouths could already fit an egg. This scene changed too quickly for them to accept. But this seemed to be a good thing? Gotcha. The crisp sound of bones breaking rang out, followed by the saber-toothed tiger's scream. Di Baichen's face was calm, but his eyes were filled with murderous intent. This guy actually wanted to take Hongzhuang's life? Yang Lingfeng looked at the man beside him who was emitting a bone-chilling aura. There was only one word in his mind: protective. Di Baichen's love for Hongzhuang was well known. The saber-toothed tiger actually dared to attack Hongzhuang in front of him. Wasn't this courting death? He had always hated the saber-toothed tiger, but at this moment he couldn't help but mourn for this guy. Offending the boss of the holy world, wasn't that courting death? Shut up. The long-armed ape saw the saber-toothed tiger wailing and shouted coldly. This guy had been trying to mislead them. Now that they saw their boss like this, how could they still not understand that this person in front of them was their sister-in-law? From the time their boss appeared until now, they had never seen him so angry. When they thought about how they didn't protect their sister-in-law, cold sweat kept dripping down. And the main culprit behind all of this was this guy. The saber-toothed tiger subconsciously closed its mouth, not daring to make another sound. Looks like this guy often caused trouble for you? Di Baichen turned to look at Bailey Hongzhuang. His domineering gaze was filled with concern. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, the corner of her lips curled up. It's inevitable that there would be a few troublemakers. She always felt that the saber-toothed tiger was a problem, but at this moment, all of this didn't seem important. It's settled. The indifferent voice was like a judge. directly deciding the life and death of the saber-toothed tiger. Yes. The long-armed ape and imperial windhorse elephant immediately understood and quickly summoned the other demonic beasts to drag the saber-toothed tiger away. Boss, you're mistaken. This woman is definitely not your wife. The saber-toothed tiger realized the fate that awaited it. At this moment it was completely anxious. Even though it was being dragged, it still screamed crazily. The other monsters looked at one another as well. Although the boss of the Saints' World seemed to be of the same race as Bailey Hongzhuang, that did not mean that Bailey Hongzhuang was his wife. Perhaps he only helped Bailey Hongzhuang because they were of the same race. Just as the group of demonic beasts were guessing, they saw Di Baichen embrace Bailey Hongzhuang's slender waist with one hand, and his thin lips covered those cherry lips with endless sweetness. It was like a dragonfly skimming the water. Immediately after, the group of demonic beasts heard Di Baichen's magnetic voice. She's my wife. How could I mistake her for someone else? It was true. Di Baichen's words undoubtedly confirmed Bailey Hongzhuang's identity. All the demonic beasts' faces changed. They couldn't understand what had happened. Why was Bailey Hongzhuang so different after coming to the Saints' World? They couldn't understand what had happened, and she had already become the wife of the Saints' World's big boss. Chapter 7001. Yang Lingfeng covered his eyes. He knew it would be like this. It wasn't enough for them to show off their love in front of them. Now they were showing off their love in front of so many beasts. The fox covered its chest. What should I do? My heart seems to be hurt. The rock patted the fox with its wings and comforted, don't worry. She's the wife of a big boss. It's good enough that we can bask in her glory. But the white guy was the one I had my eyes on. The lion said dejectedly, the white guy never promised you. The fox. Whose side are you on? Other than this guy, who else is there? Di Baichen didn't let go of Bailey Hongzhuang's slender waist. Instead, he lowered his head and asked softly. Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned. Then she understood that Baichen wanted to avenge her and get rid of all the guys who were targeting them. At this moment, Yang Lingfeng volunteered. Baichen and that monkey. It's that guy who has been working with the saber-toothed tiger to target us. The direction he pointed at was where the fierce cloud monkey was. The fierce cloud monkey felt that something was wrong when he saw the saber-toothed tiger being dragged away. He had been quietly hiding in the crowd, hoping that these guys wouldn't notice him. However, he didn't expect to be pointed out by Yang Lingfeng. His heart suddenly thumped and he knew that something was wrong. After Yang Lingfeng pointed out this guy, he gave Yang Qingxue a look. Sister, when you have someone to rely on, you have to get rid of these annoying guys. Brother, you're getting more and more despicable. Yang Qingxue sighed. Then a proud smile appeared on her face. But I like it. Ha ha ha. Yang Lingfeng laughed proudly. This guy would be a disaster sooner or later. Although they didn't need to worry about this guy causing any trouble in the holy world, they couldn't guarantee that this guy would always hold a grudge. When the time came, whether it was playing tricks on them or targeting the fox and the rest, it was something that they didn't want to see. Moreover, he could feel that this fellow was even more sinister than the saber-toothed tiger. The long-armed ape subconsciously looked at Di Baichen. Seeing the murderous look in his boss's eyes, he immediately understood. He quickly waved his hand to call the other monsters. Take this guy away too. The fierce cloud monkey was caught by the sacred world's demonic beasts. It didn't even have a chance to escape. After knowing that he was doomed, the fierce cloud monkey's eyes flashed with a hint of viciousness. He immediately shouted, "They are all lying to you. This guy was clearly with the fox before. All of us clearly heard that the fox had threatened to marry her. Don't be fooled." Hua. Seeing that the fierce cloud monkey actually said such words, the demonic beast's expressions became extremely strange. They had heard something like that before, but they didn't dare to say it in front of the leader of the Saints' World. Yang Lingfeng and Yang Qingshue's expressions changed slightly. They looked like they were waiting to watch a good show. Hong Zhuang was undoubtedly Bei Chen's favorite. Not to mention that he wanted to marry her, he would not allow anyone to get close to her, let alone a man. Even if it was a male, he would not allow it. Recently, the fox had indeed said that he wanted to marry Hong Zhuang a few times. They wondered how Bei Chen would react. Chapter 7002. After Di Baichen heard this, his eyes narrowed slightly, and his gaze fell on the fox not far away. The fox felt guilty at first, but then it thought that it couldn't implicate the white guy. Just as it was about to step forward, Di Baichen's voice sounded, My wife has been married to me for many years, but we only separated a year ago. What nonsense are you talking about? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and looked at the man beside her. Although she had told him about her interactions with the fox and the rest, she had never mentioned this point. But looking at the man's expression, he didn't seem angry. After all these years, the trust between them was already unbreakable. Moreover, Beichen wouldn't treat this kind of thing seriously. The two who were waiting to watch a good show were dumbfounded when they saw Beichen resolve this matter so casually. They thought that Beichen would be furious, but they didn't expect that to be the case. A year ago? The fox was surprised. The white guy did appear more than a year ago. If they connected all these together, wouldn't it be, so we've known the wife of a big shot in the holy world for so long? The rock was dumbfounded. Then we've been thinking about how to build a good relationship with the demonic beasts in the holy world. We just need to build a good relationship with the white guy. Oh my God. The clothes I'm wearing were made by the wife of the holy world. No, I have to take these clothes back and worship them. The demonic beasts came back to their senses. This news wasn't just shocking, it was horrifying. But after thinking about it, they felt very happy. They were really lucky. The demonic beasts north of the river were also very envious. No wonder these clothes looked so unusual. So this was the crux of the problem. Thinking about how they were on the opposite side, they felt a little panicked. Boss, these demonic beasts all passed the test. Do you know? The Imperial Wind Horse Elephant looked at its boss tentatively, hoping that its boss didn't take what happened to heart. Otherwise, the two of them would be in trouble. Just do what you need to do. Beichen said faintly and pulled Bailey Hongzhuang to the back. Although he had recruited a group of underlings in the Saints' world, he did not plan on interfering with many matters here. After so many years, a set of rules had already been established between the sacred world and the demonic beasts of the outside world. All they needed to do was follow the rules and continue. Bailey Hongzhuang followed Beichen all the way forward. Yang Lingfeng and Li Yunhong also followed. Let's go. I'll take you to your accommodations first. Holding Bailey Hongzhuang's hand, Beichen was also in a good mood. He felt that his heart, which had been empty for the past year, was finally filled. He didn't care about anything related to demonic beasts. The only thing he wanted to do now was to be with Hongzhuang. After passing through the bamboo forest and the flower field, Bailey Hongzhuang saw a palace in the distance. This palace couldn't be considered luxurious or grand, but it had an unprecedented freshness. The beautiful scenery in the surroundings set off this palace, making it seem like a secret realm in the forest. Wow, Beichen, you'll be staying here for this period of time? Isn't this treatment a little too good? Chapter 7003. Beichen smiled faintly. You're living here now too. Haha, with you around, we're naturally living a good life. Yang Lingfeng smiled. Other than the days when they were captured by the saber-toothed tiger, the days with Hongzhuang were very comfortable. Now that they were in the holy world with Beichen here, their days were naturally even better. I think it was the right choice to come to the secret realm with you this time. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a good opportunity. Yang Qinshua's eyes were filled with excitement. The improvement in cultivation in this 1 year would take at least 10 years in the outside world. If they didn't come, they could only watch blankly as Beichen broke through to the elementary immortal stage. Now, even if they hadn't broken through, it was only a matter of time. Other than this, you can choose any of the other rooms. Beichen pointed to the main hall and said. Okay. Yang Lingfeng agreed happily. Along the way, he had already noticed a few rooms. The decorations here were very good. Go in and rest, we won't disturb you and your wife. Yang Lingfeng waved his hand. He had been living in the cave for this period of time and missed this warm and soft bed very much. Yesterday's training had already exhausted him. Now what he wanted to do most was to take a bath and have a good sleep. That would be perfect. However, I have to remind you that after Fox and the others are done with their business, they might come to Hongzhuang. After all, today's matter is really difficult for them to understand. They will definitely want to understand. So, Yang Lingfeng winked at Beichen. Everything was understood without words. Beichen glanced at Yang Lingfeng indifferently, then pulled Bailey Hongzhuang's hand and walked into the bedroom. Beichen. As soon as they entered the room, Bailey Hongzhuang was already pressed against the wall by Beichen. A familiar aura surrounded her and a hot chest imprisoned her. The man's eyes narrowed slightly, emitting a dangerous and seductive aura. Fox said he wants to marry you? His hoarse voice was low and enchanting. His breath drifted to her ears and neck like a secret message, making her feel numb and confused. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the handsome face in front of her and shifted her gaze guiltily. It was just saying? A low chuckle escaped from the man's throat. His gaze became deeper and deeper as it landed on the face of the woman in his arms, the tip of her nose and her lips. Then he lowered his head and kissed the lips that he yearned for day and night. You're not obedient. Ugh. A domineering aura engulfed her, absorbing all of her sweetness. That pair of large hands also caressed her body, quietly sliding into her clothes. The world spun and the man had already landed on the warm and soft bed with her in his arms. Beichen? The woman's delirious voice undoubtedly intensified the man's desire. His hot breath sprayed on every part of her skin. The room was filled with romance. The next day the warm sunlight spilled into the room through the window. The warm feeling awakened Bailey Hongzhuang from her deep sleep. She slowly opened her eyes and saw the man beside her with his back to the light. He was supporting his head with one hand and looking at her with a smile. The man's eyes were filled with stars and looked even more dazzling than the sunlight. You're awake. Chapter 7004. Di Beichen opened his arms and pulled Bailey Hongzhuang into his embrace. Leaning against the man's chest, Bailey Hongzhuang squinted her eyes like a cat and a bright smile blossomed on her face. Only when she was completely awake did she remember something. Didn't the fox and the others come looking for us yesterday? Do you think they can come here? Di Beichen raised his eyebrows. He already knew what Yang Lingfeng's reminder meant. However, this palace was not a place that just anyone could enter. Even if everyone knew that the fox and Hongzhuang had a good relationship, without his permission, no demon beast could enter. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang came back to her senses. From yesterday until now, not to mention coming to find them, there wasn't even a sound from them. Then let's go see the fox and the others in a bit. You care about it a lot? Di Beichen asked slowly. Not it, it's them. Bailey Hongzhuang emphasized. She always thought that Di Beichen wouldn't be unhappy about this kind of thing, but after being severely punished yesterday, she finally understood how domineering this man could be. If she didn't explain it clearly, her situation today would probably be, in this past year they've been taking care of me. I'm the one who's been deceiving them, so I feel guilty. Her clear black and white eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. In this period of time, she had been thinking about how the fox and the others would react if they knew everything. She also hoped that they wouldn't be angry with her. Now that she knew about Di Beichen's status in the holy world, it was a huge comfort to her. She knew that the fox and the others' biggest wish was to stay in the holy world. If she could help them achieve this wish, it would undoubtedly be for the best. Di Beichen's lips curved into a faint smile. I understand. When Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen walked out of the room, they found that Yang Lingfeng and Yang Qinxue were already awake. Morning. Yang Lingfeng leaned over sneakily. It's already late in the morning. I thought you guys weren't going to get up today. Hearing the meaning behind Yang Lingfeng's words, Bailey Hongzhuang blushed. This guy was becoming more and more unscrupulous with his words. Looks like the trials of the saints' world aren't enough for you. It just so happens that there are some more difficult trials here. Why don't I take you to try them out? Di Beichen said casually. Yang Lingfeng's expression changed. Looking at Beichen's fluttering appearance, he felt as if there was a needle hidden in cotton. Yesterday's test had almost taken away half of his life. As for the test that Beichen mentioned, he was afraid that it would make him wish he was dead. As expected, the consequences of offending Beichen were even more terrifying. I didn't say anything. Yang Lingfeng looked at the weather outside. Today's weather is really good. Do you want to go out for a walk? Bailey Hongzhuang, Yang Qinxue. She really wanted to break off the sibling relationship with this guy. The Imperial Wind Horse Elephant and Long-Armed Demon Ape had been waiting outside. When they noticed that Di Beichen had already gotten up, they ran in. Boss, sister-in-law. After the two fellows arrived, they respectfully saluted before secretly sizing each other up. What's the matter? That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.